Coming up, a Mogul man accused of a $20 million fraud is denied bail. An Aussie mother of 6 escapes the death penalty in Malaysia. And fire crews are battling a large bushfire on Bribie Island.
The dog has been sold for $12,000. So who would pay so much, and why is man's best friend becoming a luxury item? Tonight.
Tonight, a Gold Coast pilot and his trainee killed in a fiery crash across the border.
It looked like he was going down and he was picking up speed and he just didn't pull out.
Bribie fire threat. Emergency crews on high alert as giant flames approach homes.
Railway Museum despair. Another arson attack on the Ipswich workshops.
I just hope they get the ones that did it and crucify them.
And cricket fans out in force, all dressed up at the Gabba for the first test of summer.
This is 10 News at 5 with Max Futcher and Georgina Lewis.
Good evening. 2 men have been killed after their light plane crashed and exploded.
The victims are believed to be a pilot and student from the Gold Coast. The crash occurred near a busy highway 2 kilometres south of Lismore in northern New South Wales. Amber Austin-Wright reports.
Meanwhile, a student pilot says he's still determined to get his private licence despite being seriously injured in a plane wreck west of Beaudesert. Darren Snell revealed to Summer Burke he was on his pre-exam final solo flight when he crashed into a field. Emergency crews are working to contain a large bushfire which has threatened homes on Bribie Island. At one stage, the fast-moving blaze jumped containment lines and came within metres of a local school at Bongaree. About a dozen fire units are still on the ground, putting in backburns in windy conditions. Residents are being told to keep doors and windows closed and be ready to evacuate if necessary.
Arsonists are being blamed for a massive fire which destroyed buildings near Ipswich's historic Railway Workshops Museum. It's not the first time the buildings have been targeted, and as Lisa Goddard discovered, they are lucky it didn't spread further.
It's no surprise, judging by the size of the fireball, that everyone first feared the Railway Workshops Museum was history.
An Australian mother of 6 says she'll never take life for granted after escaping the hangman's noose in Malaysia. Emma Laguille's 4 months of hell behind bars are over after drug charges were sensationally dropped. Emma O'Sullivan has more.
Billionaire and LNP Life member Clive Palmer's future in the party will be decided in a fortnight after an extraordinary tirade. As state political editor Kathy Border reports, he's lashed out at the Deputy Premier and the Premier.
Clive Palmer's script was as colourful as they get, with the Deputy Premier and Treasurer in his sight.
Charles and Camilla escaped a tornado warning as they left Hobart, only to get caught up in unpredictable weather in Sydney. Mazoe Ford is at the Opera House, where a state reception is underway. And Mazoe, the weather must make them feel right at home.
Georgie, it's been a real mixed bag down here in Sydney today. There was torrential rain, there was 30-degree heat, a bit of everything, just like Britain's weather often throws up a mixed bag as well. But it didn't spoil anything. Charles and Camilla still managed to get to all of their engagements, and they saw some of Sydney at its best.
Well, the summer of cricket is underway with bumper crowds turning out for the first day of the first test at the Gabba. Jessie Grayson is there. Jessie, South African fans appear a bit few and far between this year.
Yeah, Max, fans are still filtering out of the Gabba at stumps on day one on what can only be described as a pretty tough day for the Aussies in the field. The Proteas showing why they are the #1 side in Test cricket at the moment. But if colour and fanfare are worth anything, the Aussie fans did Australia proud today in what can only be described as a big crowd at the Gabba for day one. Rob Hazel's in the newsroom. Rob, what's actually been happening inside the Gabba?
Well, Max, from a cricket fan's perspective, it's been the biggest build-up to a Brisbane Test outside of an Ashes that I can recall. So, Max, Australia doing it tough at the end of the first day. We'll have a complete report a little later on in sport.
Thanks, Rob. We'll see you then. The Gillard government scrapped plans for an internet filter to protect families from vile material. We check out alternative solutions next.
Plus, more misery for New York. A snowstorm lashes the city just days after a hurricane. And a memorial to a Muslim princess turned spy, one of Britain's bravest women of the Second World War.
There Reserve Bank appears to have gone to the interest rate sidelines for now. The RBA today downgraded its economic growth forecast for December and January by 0.25%. The All Ordinaries index down by almost 20 points at close. Westpac and the NAB did the most damage as both major banks went ex-dividend, while Australia's biggest electricity retailer Origin slumped on a profit downgrade. The Aussie dollar's had a great week, buying 104.2 US cents and 81.5 euro cents. Commodities have also ended the week higher, oil above 85 US dollars a barrel.
Good evening. Well, the rain held off to allow for a brilliant day to get the cricket underway. Brisbane today ranging from 21 to 29 degrees. Storms have started to move in though now, as you can see on the radar. They're stretching from around the border up to around Fraser Island with some moderate falls in parts. There's no severe storm warning yet though. We might just get a rumble or two with rain throughout the evening. Sydney though has been belted by storms. The latest whipped through just after lunch, bringing heavy rain and hail to the inner suburbs. Meantime, the clean-up was underway from yesterday's storms which hit in the west. The same system has also caused a series of mini tornadoes in Hobart, where severe thunderstorms are also forecast. I'll have more on the storms heading our way though in the forecast. Georgie? See you then. Thank you, Tegan. And in breaking news, the LNP executive has moved swiftly, suspending billionaire Clive Palmer from the party for his tirade against Deputy Premier Jeff Seeney and Treasurer Tim Nicholls.
The federal government has finally dumped its controversial plan to filter the internet. It had wanted to block terrorist sites and child pornography, but the idea, much like its axing, met with mixed reactions. Hugh Riminton reports.
Britain has unveiled a memorial to a Muslim princess who became one of its most famous spies of the Second World War. Nina Nana explains why the honour was so deserved.
In a genteel London square where an Indian princess once played, a statue of the woman she became is unveiled. Nina Nana, 10 News.
It's no surprise, but there's now hard evidence. Teenage binge drinking leads to addictions later in life. That's just ahead.
Plus, a gang of jewel thieves ride their bikes right into one of London's busiest shopping malls. And guide dogs to the rescue. New programs to help visually impaired preschoolers.
Tonight on the project, why man's best friend is becoming a luxury item for farmers, the benefits of working from home, and the latest tween Queen sensation, Victoria Justice.
A new study has found teenagers who binge drink are more likely to develop alcoholism or drug dependency later in life. As Ursula Hager reports, binge drinking during adolescence can slow the brain from reaching maturity. Well, one of the world's biggest medical research facilities is being built in Brisbane. We'll have details next. Heroes welcome for Sam Stosur at her old school.
And Miranda Kerr steals the limelight again at the world's biggest underwear show. You're watching 10 News Queensland. A world-class research facility headed by the Queensland researcher who invented the cervical cancer vaccine Gardasil is soon to open its doors in Brisbane.
US Open champion Sam Stosur has visited her old primary school and found a time capsule where she predicted her own fame. The Gold Coast tennis ace showed kids if you dare to dream, you'll make it. Lexi Hamilton-Smith has more.
Quite a spectacular.
Tough act to follow, but here's Rob Hazel with sport.
I know, Justin Bieber's fantastic, isn't he? Hello, everyone. Coming up, South Africa shows why it's the #1 Test nation. It was a frustrating opening day for the Aussies, who were at times their own worst enemy. And the NRL accused of double standards after Cooper Cronk turns up in Lions colours. Welcome back. South Africa is well on top after bad light ended day one of the first test at the Gabba. The Aussie bowlers certainly had very little luck, but the star-studded Proteas top order flexed its muscle and showed why they're #1. The NRL denies it's guilty of double standards after today condoning Storm halfback Cooper Cronk wearing Brisbane Lions training gear. Yesterday, they banned Knights legend Danny Baderis from taking a rugby coaching role. Adam Hawes report. Wallabies coach Robbie Deans has made just 3 changes to the starting side for Sunday's test against the French in Paris. Props Kopi Kepu, Dave Dennis and Kane Douglas have been added to the pack, while the backline remains unchanged, with Kurtley Beale calling the shots from fly half. And there you go, big weekend ahead. The test keeps going on. Australia with plenty to do. Got to get some early wickets tomorrow.
Early wickets in the morning.
But look, if they don't, it's just great to see this great South African side here in Brisbane.
That's true.
It is. Thank you, Rob. Have a good weekend. Next, Tegan will have an update on the storms moving across Brisbane.
This weather report proudly brought to you by Mortein Nature Guard Automatic Odourless for continuous odourless protection.
Good evening. Well, if you're going to go to the cricket tomorrow, don't forget your poncho. The rain is moving in overnight. As you can see on the radar, there are some storms heading our way too. Nothing too severe, but there might be a bit of thunder around with rain right throughout the evening and into the morning. It's due to that cloud band that's slowly been creeping across to the southeast. It's still over much of central Queensland too, bringing heavy rain and a few storms. An upper trough is also continuing to move east, reaching the southeast of the state tomorrow. That's going to bring a cool change and storms. A high is also clearing the southwest of the country. Taking a look at our capital cities, a shower or two in Sydney tomorrow, a top of 20 there. Canberra will drop to just 3 degrees overnight, warming up to 21. Melbourne becoming dry, a top of 20, 9 to 26 in Adelaide, 12 to 25 in Perth, and showers or a storm in Darwin. Back to Queensland, and we're in for a morning shower in Townsville there, a top of 21 to 30, 19 to 29 in Mackay, and a top of 25 in Bundaberg. Rain and thunder in the southeast tomorrow. We're looking at a top of 19 in Toowoomba and a top of 22 for Ipswich and the Gold and Sunshine Coasts. The swell is on the rise. It'll get to about 1.5 metres by tomorrow. For board riders, head to the point breaks on the southern end of the Goldie or the southern protected pockets on the Sunshine Coast. For swimmers, conditions have been dangerous close to shore, so check with lifeguards before you go in. There's a strong wind warning from Fraser right down to the border, with winds shifting to south-southeasterlies, reaching up to 30 knots tomorrow. And in Brisbane tomorrow, rain, unfortunately, 19 to 22 degrees. Let's take a look at the outlook now. From Sunday, we're going to see that rain clearing with a more stable pattern coming into play, and we're going to see temperatures warm up there to about 32 degrees. So some good weather on the way. It's really just tomorrow that we'll start to see some good rainfall. Most of it will be very early in the morning, but I think it will be most welcomed by, well, most of us, maybe just not those heading along to the Gabba tomorrow, guys. Well, we certainly need it for our dry gardens. Thank you, Tegan. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Tegan.
But that is 10 News for now. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Stay with us. Here's the project.
Good night.